We're in Grove Studios in Ypsilanti. I'm John Bomarito. Acoustic Alternatives from Grove Studios has been happening almost 5 years, and without their help, without their hosting of this podcast, it wouldn't exist. I'm very honored to be part of the people who do things here. You can check it out yourself. Lots of other people are doing podcasts here, band practices here. If you're a DJ and you want to practice your mixes somewhere and make a lot of noise and not disturb your neighbors, one of their mottos is get out of the garage and get into the studio. GroveStudios.space is the website. And I'm honored to be here with somebody I've known for, I think it's 15 years now. Abigail Stauffer is my guest today. Hello, Abigail.
Hello.
Good to see you, my friend.
Good to be seen.
Welcome back to a studio with me. I looked up the last time we were together doing something like this, and we will get to that as we get into the chat. But it's been a long time.
Yeah.
It's been gaps, but we'll solve that.
You seem to keep track of the time better than I have. It flies.
It does. Well, the new album's called I Am Safe. Here it is for the camera people. If you're listening to the audio version, I can't hold it up for you. That doesn't work for me. Does it officially come out this month?
It does officially come out this month. I think that we're saying May 29th.
Okay.
Arbitrarily.
Okay. I mean, the fact that I've had it in my hands for a while is because I was a supporter on Kickstarter. That's how I have it. So you, listener, could have been a supporter and could have been holding it in your hands, too, at the same time. But Abigail, let's start with the song. What would you like to do?
I was thinking of a throwback.
Okay.
So as we see on here as well, there's the oldest album, Alone to Dream, was from the early ages, the early days when I met you.
Yes.
I remember writing that song, sitting literally on the rooftop of a house in downtown Ann Arbor on Washington Street. And so I think that the first line is something about not wanting to sit here on this roof or something like this. And that was the very beginning before that was even recorded. 2010. So it's been a while. I haven't played those songs as much recently, but I'm going to try for that today.
All right.
I don't want to sit here on this roof and talk to you. Talking is the very thing I came here not to do. Trees and their green leaves, they always let me be alone to dream. You try to change the way I feel. You make me want to steal every moment I can to be with the trees again. I don't want to sit here on the floor and work it out. Wouldn't we be better off outdoors talking about trees and their green leaves? They always let me be alone to dream. Change the way I feel. You make me want to steal every moment I can to be with the trees, alone to dream, alone to dream, alone to dream, alone to dream. Alone to dream, alone to dream, alone to dream, alone to dream. You try to change the way I feel. You make me want to steal every moment I can to be with the trees again. You try to change the way I feel. You make me want to steal every moment I can to be with the trees.
Alone to Dream, Acoustic Alternatives version there by Abigail Stauffer on Acoustic Alternatives. And that is from way back when we first met. And those who can see it, we're holding up the first album here. And I will look at the picture inside and say you haven't aged a bit because it still looks just like you.
Love it.
You really haven't changed. I think I had hair when we first met. Not a lot of it, but enough of it that there was some. And it was, a different version of me. But you're still the same. You're still Abby.
Still me.
And I think back then I was mispronouncing your last name. So if I'm doing it now, please correct me. Stauffer, right?
Stauffer,
not
like,
Stauffer.
My dad always says "ow," like if I were to punch you,
right?
He would say "ow," but I try to be friendlier.
Yes, I know, because I don't think back then in 2010 when I first interviewed you, you corrected me. I'd seen you at the Green Street Fair, which I think was the introduction, and at that particular performance, I was impressed with what you were doing, and then you did the Outkast cover of Hey Ya. I'm like, okay. Okay, the fact that she can recreate this song in this way, I'm so impressed. And so I immediately said, okay, I just met you, but you need to come onto my show at the time.
Which I'm so grateful for.
And we've been friends ever since. So we've been doing this sort of thing back and forth for, like I said, about 15 years, which is pretty cool and fun to think about that it's been that long.
Yeah, and we were just talking about that some of us are very distractible with our communication, and you have been a wonderful friend to so many of us musicians, including being persistent in your communication when we're sort of like, what? Text and email and follow-up phone call.
What do you mean?
I need 15 forms of communication before I can reply. So thank you for being persistent and diligent friend as well.
We've been talking about this for months, and now we're doing it, so it's good.
Yeah.
All right, so you've been a Michigan resident most of your life, but not all of your life. I know you lived in Asheville for a while, obviously the Ann Arbor, Ypsilanti area, because that's where we're in right now.
Yep.
Where else have you lived? I've lost track.
So I bopped down to Asheville and did a bit of time studying massage, and then I went to San Diego and thought, I need more sunshine, which I do. I don't do great with the winters, but living there full time just wasn't for me. And then I spent 3 months in Brazil, and so I don't know if I can say I moved there or not. It was sort of that interim, like longer than a vacation
residency.
Yeah. So, and it literally, I did treat it like that at the time, and said I want to go down here and like learn language, enjoy the music, and get some inspiration. And it's a very long, slow coming album, but this album was, a number of the songs were written in that residency. I just decided I'll be my own patron, and rather than applying to an artist in residency, I'll just plop myself there and be inspired. And it was a great place for learning and writing lots of music.
The whole story started in Dexter, though, right? That's where you're originally from?
Yep.
That's where the family is from. Does your family still live there?
Yep.
Okay. And I know you have a brother, because I know him a little bit, not as well as you.
I've got three of them, three older brothers.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, my brother Johannes has dabbled in a couple of these albums. Maybe Matt might have played bass on the very first album as well. But Johannes, he plays keys, and he's played, I think he's like on Hammond and Rhodes, and I should know, but he's on a number of different fun things on the song Normal is Boring on the new album, which I can't play for you here without the full entourage, but check it out later.
And he plays with some of the other local musicians in town as well, which is how I would also know him, because I see him on stage with other friends. So, so musical family, or just the two of you musically?
Whole musical family. We grew up singing around the dinner table. I didn't realize not everybody did that, and I feel for them because I think it was really fun growing up singing together.
Cool. What kind of stuff were you guys singing?
I mean, it would be sometimes just like, sometimes based around religious tradition. Sometimes I remember having like a little sing-along in the family room and loving having multiple parts where it's like, oh, you're going to sing this part and you'll sing this part, like a round and things like that. I don't know if it was even a frequent occurrence as a kid, but it was a very memorable occurrence. So even just when we sing Happy Birthday, it's always turns into this like multi-part harmony, elaborate thing that my sister-in-law shakes her head and rolls her eyes at. We're extra.
Okay. So if anybody said, did you have a good childhood? To me, it sounds like just based on that.
Yep. They're all complex. Every childhood has its highs and its lows, but I think I had a very good childhood.
Besides music, what kind of stuff did you do as a kid? Were you into anything else? Did you do?
This Alone to Dream thing of being out with the trees. I grew up in the boonies of Dexter and spent a lot of time just in the yard. We had a nice, very big yard, and we had horses next door and cows across the street. And so a lot of it was just exploring, even with my earliest days of learning how to hang out by myself, because with lots of siblings, I was not necessarily alone that often. But when I was, it was like, I'm going to go back in the 90s when you could let your children wander freely. I'm just going to go to the neighbor's farm field and see what fun things I find there. And it was really beautiful to just appreciate nature. And even with my siblings, we used to consider exploring in a cow pasture to be this grand adventure. And like, what are we going to find? So Just a lot of time hanging in nature.
Cow poop is what you're going to find. but
Yeah. I remember finding an old Dr. Pepper can, and at the time thinking that was like really treasure. Look what we found. Ancient pop cans.
Garbage, in other
Yep.
words. Oops. Well, after high school, U of M, University of Michigan, for those who don't use U of M to mean U of M, because there are other M schools in this country. What did you study there?
Oh, sorry. What did I study?
What did
there?
you study at U of M?
I studied linguistics.
Okay.
It's not a great way to get a job per se. I mean, I don't know. But it was wonderful in terms of my love of learning languages. And so then since then I was able to, when I started playing with Dave the Cellist, as I call him, Dave Haughey, and his wife is from Brazil and he speaks Brazilian Portuguese. I learned rather quickly and went to Brazil and we did some shows there. And then I had this amazing opportunity in 2018 to go all over France and play French public libraries, and I quickly learned French. So in a way, my linguistics degree has served me very well, just not in the ways that I would have expected.
So U of M having a great music program, that wasn't what you were thinking you were going to do for a living.
Yeah, my dad actually studied music at U of M,
Okay.
and then he didn't do a music career. And I think I didn't have a specific instrument that I really would have necessarily had a great shot at getting into U of M with anyway. I wasn't pursuing music in high school as much. I was a bit, but I think I had it in my mind like, well, if he can study music and not do it, maybe I can not study music and do it. My parents set the example that you don't have to get a degree and then follow that path exactly. And that's been useful, even in terms of jumping ahead. Now I do software, and having a degree at all is very helpful
Open the door.
for getting a job when I suddenly just did like a coding boot camp, but the degree in something was all that really mattered. So
Well,
they set a good example.
Well, to kind of tie it all together, I mentioned the Green Street Fair. I met you that day, which I believe was the day after you graduated from college. It was the day or two after.
Yeah.
So I remember that as part of our story together. But you didn't get to, like, I've graduated from college. Here, I'm going to do music now, which is not what you studied. So it's kind of like
It was a sudden end of college, like senior year of college was when I was playing at Potbelly.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, like, oh, all these opportunities are arising, and maybe I'll shift direction.
Well, I mean, I've got a list of some of the people you've played with since then. You've shared bills with Ingrid Michaelson, Pearl and the Beard, The Accidentals, Jordan Hamilton, Greg Laswell, Chris Good, Chris DuPont, Jetty Ray, Kate Peterson, Francis Ukacord, Olivia Millerson, Sam Corbin, Shark, and your partner Jamie Register. And those are just the ones that I was actually at.
Yeah.
And I've got ticket stubs for some of them to prove, like how many times. I mean, this is just.
And thank you.
Sometimes there was no ticket stub for the show because it was, I'm on the guest list, or there's no tickets, or you just, you pay and they know your name, and it's just I've seen you so many times, and that growth there from new person out of college to playing, opening for Ingrid, which was a contest winning thing, right? If I remember correctly.
Yeah.
That's a really nice fun ride, right?
Yeah. Especially the unexpected. I think it's easier maybe to have unexpected success than to strive really hard for something and not quite attain. I feel very grateful for the we of it.
Right. I mean, to have at this point, having the Accidentals open for you, which happened so many years ago, obviously, no offense to you, but it would be way reversed because they have succeeded in ways that you haven't had the time to do.
Yeah.
I mean, you've had to pursue, I think I'm going to jump ahead a little bit. 2020 kind of caused you to rethink career choices. And that's total guess, but a lot of you had to. Sam Corbin, for instance, who I just mentioned, I know he was doing music up until some point. He's like, yeah, I need to do something else. I can't make a living.
Yeah, it's difficult to make a living at, and it's also very difficult, and this is nothing new, it's difficult to maintain artistic creativity and freedom and passion while trying to make money on it. And so part of my interest as well was in rediscovering my own authentic passion and enjoyment of it, because I had noticed that gradually it had been sapped away quite a bit as I was trying to make it pay the bills, and also just already having a tendency towards people pleasing, and then realizing, oh, I've set up my career to be a professional people pleaser, and that is, I think, an enemy of authentic creativity. So I'm trying to find my way of, oh, I can pay the bills elsewhere and then make whatever art, even if people don't like it. And often the best artists are the ones who are unabashed and willing to be disliked, and then others may really like them, but that's not the primary objective.
Yeah. Well, a lot of our similar and common music friends have had to do other things to balance out I want to make music, but I need to make a living, so I'm going to go work at a church, or I'm going to go be a real estate person. You did massage, which was an interesting look. Well, no one else I know did massage as part of their second career.
Yeah.
And that was something you studied. Was that something you always had a passion for, or just something you thought, oh, I'd like to help people. I like receiving them. I want to give them.
I always had a passion for massage from, like, I remember third grade trading arm massages with classmates sitting next to me. Yeah, I've always loved it. I remember second grade was the first time I saw at a friend's house, I think, like, her mom was giving a massage to her sibling or something, and I was like, what's that? So from a very young age, I thought that seems really fun, and all through middle school, I was trading massages with folks, and it was only sometime early in college where I fully grasped, like, oh, that's a career path. And so early on in college, I had thought about maybe I'll take a break from college and do massage. And long story short, I ended up waiting until I finished my degree and then immediately afterwards getting a massage certificate and paying off my college debt with massage.
Very
Again,
nice.
as we've mentioned, I'm glad to have a degree.
Yeah.
It's opened its own kind of doors, but massage was really a wonderful career to have for a decade or so.
And it showed up in College Love and Cheesecake, too, which was before you had
Yes,
the degree,
that's
which is
right.
kind of funny.
And that's exactly the story of, like, that was me freshman year.
Interlinked life here.
Yep, exactly.
Well, as I was kind of digging back into your life, because, you know, we haven't talked in a while, I was looking for, what did I miss? Like, what did we not talk about in the past? And I don't think I ever mentioned it. I don't remember when it came out now, but the parody of the Taylor Swift song that you did for the, was
Oh,
it a
yeah.
food bank or a food,
Oh, gosh, now
or what did that
spring it on me. I can't tell
well,
you.
Well, I guess there's a pretty good chance that she has seen that, which I wonder what her reaction would have been to.
Oh,
'Cause
I
as a
wonder.
parody, she'd probably like, oh, what is this? It was really well done. I mean,
Yeah.
it really was. The first time I saw it was like this week. I didn't know it was
Really?
out there. Yeah, I didn't know.
Yeah.
It was one of the things that I must have missed along
Yeah,
the way.
never eating bad together.
Yeah, we are never ever eating it bad together.
Yeah, that was a really fun
well
video.
done, but
Thank you. Not that I can claim a whole lot of credit.
no, but it's it's one of the things that's part of your story at this point.
Yeah.
If people Google you enough, they will find, as I did, this interesting little T Swift cover, which who knows? Like, she may have responded to it in a while. That's really clever. I like
That's
that.
so funny. I've always thought there's no way she's ever seen it, but be interesting if she had.
Yes. Well, typically in your songs, even into the new record, you've been a pretty open book as far as your life is concerned. It's refreshing, but I wonder, is it scary as well for you? Do you find yourself feeling, okay, well, I'm putting it out there, and it's always going to be out there because records are kind of permanent, really. Even though you can take them out of print, they're still out there. Does it ever scare you?
This one more than any of the ones before, and at the last album, Where I'm Going, was 2015, and this one is 2025. So, there's a lot of it that's sometimes hard to tell. Is it just how I've changed in between, or is it the fact that also the content of I Am Safe is more raw and vulnerable than ever? The ones that I'll be able to play today just acoustically might not fully reveal that, but there's some songs on there that really, it was a whole journey just to even decide for some of them, sure, we've recorded this, but am I up for releasing this? And I considered long and hard, and it was actually a good part of the experience to realize I have every right to say, nope, I don't want to share that. And that's part of people pleasing. It's part of an interesting aspect of consent, even with music, of like, this is my choice to decide, do I want to share this with the world or just a couple of folks? And I think it's been really helpful, actually, that for this one we did the Kickstarter way back in 2019 and then finally fulfilled it this December, January. And that gave me sort of a chance to practice sharing it with a few people as I'm preparing to share it with more people, because this was the hardest one ever in terms of sharing really vulnerably and saying, not just like, oh, I hope they like the songs, but like, this is my heart and soul and story. Take it or leave it.
Yeah, take me as I am, as
Yeah.
somebody I know someone once. Oh, that was you.
Yep, exactly.
Another classic song from the Abbey past.
I love this.
I know your backstory, my friend.
It's awesome.
I've been there for a lot of it, and it's been a good ride. Is this a good time to play one of those new songs? I don't know what you're prepared to
Sure.
play.
Yeah, and like I said, the ones from that album that I'm able to play just solo acoustic are not as deeply revealing. So,
It's a little more complex of a record. A lot of these other ones you have been able to pull the songs
yeah.
off.
So I'll play some from it, but it won't be. This isn't the bearing of heart and soul, fortunately or unfortunately. Probably a relief for me today.
What song is it?
Let's do Pulling Teeth.
Okay.
Every song I write's like pulling teeth. Like pulling teeth, it's never easy. Every song I write, it sounds the same. I am ashamed, but everything will change. Everything will change. It's the only guarantee. Just wait and you will see everything change. Sometimes the work I'm doing feels completely useless. Progress is elusive and I'm sliding down the wall I've climbed. But it's then I find when I'm feeling most discouraged, the page is finally turning and something will change. Everything will change. It's the only guarantee. Just wait and you will see everything change. Sometimes it's entropy. If you leave things be, they'll fall apart. But if you wanna say in the way things change, you gotta work every day till you find a way to the change you wanna see. It's like pulling teeth. It's never easy. But everything will change. Everything will change. It's the only guarantee. Just wait and you will see everything change. Everything will change. Everything will change. Even if it's hard, even if it's hard, I won't give up. Even if it's hard, even if it's hard, I won't give up. Even if it's hard, even if it's hard, I won't give up. It's never easy, but I won't give up.
And in fact, she did not. Abigail Stauffer on Acoustic Alternatives from Grove Studio. A track called Pulling Teeth, which is available on the new record, soon to be released if you're listening to this one when this podcast first comes out, because these live on forever and ever. The album's called I Am Safe, and it is now available to some people, like I've got it in my hands here at the very moment. That one does have a history with you and I. Let's see. Walked Into Alzheimer's Benefit, second one I threw, you were at, and you did that song, and that was about 6 years ago. So the song has been around a little bit.
Yeah.
Some of the other songs too, but you've been in the studio with me twice that year, actually, the year we did the Walked Into Alzheimer's, because we were talking about a different thing at the time, about 6 years ago. The Benefit and then Pulling Teeth and Wanderer were both played at that point and both appear on this record. So some of these songs are old, which, I mean, I know it took a little while because of some of it financial, some of it where Dave lives, I think is probably part of the equation too. Yeah. But some of these, which are the newest songs on here? And
You know?
you're going to have to remember yourself by looking.
Yes, I will. The newest songs, I mean, even that, probably Normal is Boring.
Which has a Dave vocal on it, a strong Dave vocal.
And Hold Me Steady, I would say, are the newest. But yeah, all of them, honestly, like when you start naming how far back some of them are. Honestly, Wanderer, I wrote right after touring with the Accidentals in 2017. And the beginning of it says, I'm coming home to a place I barely know. I had just moved to San Diego, and then all of a sudden they said, hey, do you want to join us on a tour? And then they said for a couple shows, and then they said, oh, you could stay longer. And so I had been on the road longer than I'd even been in my new home. And so that was coming home to a place I barely know.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of these songs, they've been in the mix for a long time. And I think for every album I've released, I've been sort of hesitant, like, am I up for all this? Both it's a lot to reveal it all. It's also a very expensive process. It takes tons of energy. And then, as we mentioned in this one, when we finally said, we're going to do it, we had this album folder, because this is the first album that I've collaborated with directly with someone else, Dave the Cellist, on, and not just saying, oh, come in, he plays on another, but I just brought him in afterward. But this one we collaborated together, and we had a folder on Google Drive that was album 2018. So there was a time where we thought we were going to have it done by then. And then in 2019, we said, okay, let's really get down to business. And Dave twisted my arm and said, let's do a Kickstarter. And so we did this Kickstarter 2019, and then we funded it right at the end. Thank you to everyone who supported. December 2019, and he lives in Massachusetts and spends time in Brazil. And so it took 5 years to finally finish recording it and do all the rest. So I don't know. Some songs were written in that time, but some of it was just this, all of a sudden he has a chocolate business and I'm a software developer, and
time gets by.
Yeah. And so that last one about every song I write's like pulling teeth, even that was like 2017 or something like it. And it is still like pulling teeth. Sometimes because it's like pulling teeth just to make the time and say, I'm going to sit down and prioritize creativity when there's so much else to do and albums that everyone's been waiting on. So my hope is, now that this is finally out in the world, or about to be officially, that will free up some bandwidth mentally and creatively.
You can start writing again.
Here's hoping.
Overthinking actually is old too, because you did that one in the studio the same year as the Walk Down to Alzheimer's, but you didn't know the name yet. You hadn't committed to a name yet.
That was new at the time.
Yeah.
Because I remember I wrote that when I was living in the Buddhist temple.
Okay.
And again, when now I have these years of, I got my house in 2018, so I had to have written that a long time ago. Yep, they're all old.
Well, I'd heard Pulling Teeth, and then when I finally heard the record, there's this like cool little jazz thing in the middle that obviously isn't there when you do it in front of me like this.
Yeah.
Where did that come from? Whose inspiration was that?
That was Dave.
Okay.
Dave the Cellist wrote this whole arrangement for Rita, the Balkan brass band that I think they still play sometimes here and there in Ann Arbor, and it's like a party. It's a dance party every time. So the recorded version and the video version of that has a whole Balkan brass breakdown in the middle, which fits with this idea that everything will change, that the song itself is like suddenly, and change. It's a Balkan brass breakdown and back to something else. So,
well, Wanderer, that starts off the record, is kind of a journey. I mean, listening to it lyrically, so J.R.R. Tolkien had, I think, the line that you kind of borrowed from, right? Those who are not lost are the...
Though I wander, I'm not lost.
Yeah.
But what is the actual quote? I don't recall
Yeah,
exactly.
I looked it up, but now I forget
Not
what it is.
all those who wander are lost.
Yeah, there you go. But you kind of retooled it for the song
Yeah.
and kind of fit it into your journey, like, going different places. And
Yeah.
You've been a lot of places, as we mentioned, and you've come back to, the area that you grew up in. Your roots are here and grounded, and you've got, and in previous albums you talk about being alone and relationships being difficult, and he wasn't here today, but it seems like
Jamie almost came.
Jamie almost came.
Yeah.
Jamie has been part of your life for quite a while, and as I've seen the positive influence that has had on you. So that's, again, knowing you all these years, it's nice to see that happen.
Yeah.
Because listening to the songs, I know part of where those came from. It's the relationships that didn't work.
Yeah, and thinking back in terms of "I'm Not Lost," I think it's in another song somewhere or other, and in the No Contradictions album, which was the second one, that was a big deal for me at the time of really trying to wrestle with coming out and being a person of faith and whatever else, and that there didn't have to be a contradiction, that these certain identities that at the time felt like I can be either this or that. It's black and white, binaries, whatever, and that I was like, no, I can be these things and also these things, and they don't have to contradict. But then also my own journey of sometimes others perceiving, or from their perspective, oh, you're lost. It can be a term in a faith community at times. And so that was somewhat me saying in terms of where I'm wandering through the world, but also in terms of my faith, like, I'm not lost. I'm not going to accept somebody else's putting on me, oh, you're lost. But saying, no, I'm not lost. Like, I know where I am, and I am confident and comfortable with these identities and beliefs and everything. So sometimes I'm writing in almost like a mantra to myself to reaffirm what I want to believe or what I do believe. So every time I'm singing it, I'm building strength and confidence in that phrase.
Speaking of older songs, which we kind of were in that thing, do you have trouble singing some of the older songs just because what you're saying about what you wrote about isn't really where you are anymore?
Yeah.
Do you have trouble with those songs?
Sometimes. There's some songs that I've just stopped playing, but often it's not intentional or I'm not fully aware. And often when I come back to them, it's not that I don't relate with them anymore. It might be that I relate with them differently. And sometimes it's like, hey, this is a record. This is a literal record, but also it's a story of where I was then. And so I don't know. Trouble might not be it. It's just that when I play it, my interpretation internally and what I might share externally may look a little different. But it has been kind of amazing to see that this is like getting to open up journals, but they're song journals of like, oh, that's how I felt at the time, or that's what I was going through. And sometimes it's a relief. Like, man, I remember writing Take Me As I Am and really being so fraught and so distressed, and playing it live was so difficult. Whereas now I'm like, oh, yeah, no, that's a memory. I play that and it's a memory song of like, I remember when I felt that way. And now I feel comfortable and confident in who I am. And yeah.
I would bet people have come up to you about that song and said that helped me get through,
Yeah.
Is there anything better than that, really, having a song be that meaningful to somebody that it was part of a life-changing event for them? I can't imagine having that impact on somebody, so that must have been a thing.
Yeah,
Pretty
I'm
cool
always
thing.
very encouraged by when I hear stories like that of people who say this, even just like, this album helped me through some big life transition or difficulty, whatever it may be. That's very meaningful to me.
This album seems to have the most amount of guests on it than, if I'm looking at the credits on the other album, lots of credits, a lot of people, but this has like lots of special extra guests on it. What made that come about? Was it just that well, Dave's busy, I'm going to ask so-and-so to help? Was it kind of that?
I'd say to the flip side that it was Dave's ambition of let's collaborate with everyone. And that is exciting and fun. And I love the collaboration. And also probably added to it being such a long, extensive project, because it was like, all right, we got to get this person in from Kalamazoo and Dave over from Massachusetts and bring lots of people. And with the extensive length of the project, we even had to change up who our sound engineers were, starting off with Jim Roll and moving to Chris DuPont. And one day where the studio just lost power, and so then we were at another studio. So all of the different musical collaborators and sound engineer collaborators were some smorgasbord of ambitious, let's just connect with everyone, as well as the long breadth of the project required some additional collaborators just to get it through to the finish line.
Yeah. Well, Jamie's not on here, surprisingly.
He is in sneaky ways. He's not a special, so that lists the special featured featuring, but Jamie snuck in there at the end in Chris DuPont's studio and added some little vocals and a little bit of bass parts, so he's there.
Jordan Hamilton's on, heard it on the radio. Jenny Jones and Nikki P on Embody, and is it Rita? Rita, excuse me. I'm pulling teeth, I got that wrong. So yeah, that's just the special guest vocalists appearing on the back of the sleeve. All the instrumentation on the inside has a whole bunch more people.
A whole bunch more. Lots of local and not local names.
And you're going to do a show coming up, so the people who are hearing this as we release it and not like a month after I get it out, they have a chance to see you do these shows with, I don't know who's going to be there, your Carytown Concert House later this month, right?
Yeah, May 29th, I believe. It's a Thursday, right. And so that's our official release date. And then also doing something in Massachusetts the week before, and a little house concert release in Grand Rapids as well.
Who's going to be part of those shows?
So Dave and Jamie and I will be, Dave on cello, of course, and Jamie on drums. And then maybe we'll manage to snag some extra special guests, like perhaps Nikki P or Jenny Jones, or we'll see.
We're keeping secrets. It's fine.
Or maybe we're very disorganized and we haven't confirmed yet. But.
Okay, there's that too. Is there another? Do you want to do another new one, or do you want to go back and do an old one next?
We talked a lot about Wanderer, so let's do it.
All right. I'm not going to sing it. I'm going to let you do it.
Oh, okay.
There's no let's in this.
I packed my bags and I set out again from California, North Carolina, from Michigan. And when I arrived, I found I am right at home wherever I go. And when I returned again, I knew it wasn't the end of my traveling. It's part of who I am. I'm coming home to place I barely know. I've been everywhere and back again, and still there's more to go. Throw my body to the waves, find my heart among the stones. Though I wander, I'm not lost. Where I rest, I find my home. I've slept on couches, slept on floors, I've slept on beds, I've slept outdoors, I've taken boats and trains and bicycles to get me where I need to go. And everywhere I've been, I've made friends who let me in to their stories and their lives, and they help me realize that I am safe and I am free. I am limitless in love and infinite in creativity. I am not lost. I am finding out what this life, what this faith, what this music is about. I am home wherever I go. I'm coming home to a place I barely know. I've been everywhere and back again, and still there's more to go. Throw my body to the waves, find my heart among the stones. Though I wander, I'm not lost. Where I rest, I find my home. Within my skin I am already living, so everywhere I go I take with me my home. My body's a temple, my feet a foundation, I stand and I'm stable, moving, I'm taking this home with me. Wherever I go, as long as I'm embodied, my feet take root and I get into the groove. But I was not meant to stay in place, and one day if the wind picks up it might blow me away, and I'll say I'm coming home to a place I barely know. I've been everywhere and back again, and still there's more to go. Throw my body to the waves, find my heart among the stones. Though I wander, I'm not lost. Where I rest, I find my home. Home.
Wanderer is a track you can find on the newest album from Abigail Stauffer, and you heard it here on Acoustic Alternatives in Grove Studios in Ypsilanti, Michigan. It is the track that takes us on a little journey as we get into this record. And I shouldn't be surprised because you've kind of dabbled in genre bending over the course of your last three records, but this one seems to bend pretty far away from, I mean, this is, we'd almost call this folk, which you just did for me here, but the record is not a folk record. It is. Yeah. It is not.
Yeah, there's a lot of, I don't even know. You're an expert on this.
I don't know what to do.
What would you call it?
I don't know that I can. a genre bending folk. Then,
yeah, we've got some electronic things happening, which happened as well on No Contradictions, but in a different way.
Yeah, it's a little less dreamy techno-y than like World with the Windowsill or Love Song Earth and Sky, which is a couple of my favorites with Chris's voice on them.
Right.
And this one has, there's a little bit of rap going on in there, but it's not like hardcore rap. It's just like you just sort of did a rap in that song. It's that kind of, just a different delivery of a vocal.
Yeah. Yeah, and I've always struggled with trying to figure out what, people say if they haven't heard the music, oh, what genre do you play? And I'm like, oh gosh, here we go. So yeah, once we figure out, I like, you said dreamy techno-y is a good way to describe some of the electronic elements of No Contradictions. And you're right, that's not really the feel of any of the electronic elements on this one, but I don't know.
I still would like to hear you do like a dreamy techno-y album with Chris, like the two of you collaborating.
Yeah, we've talked about it. And as you know, we're both very hard to get a hold of. Can you imagine us trying to get a hold of each other and lock anything in a calendar? But maybe in 20 years.
It just seems like the voices blend really well together.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
Those two particular songs are two of my favorites in your catalog. Just the way they feel. Like this would be a really good thing for me to have for me. And it's just for me.
Yeah, we'd do it for you. For John Bomarito.
No, you wouldn't. That's not at all necessary. I like the way that sounds. But anyway, genre bending, as I mentioned, so pretty cool adventure for this new record if people haven't heard it yet. There's a disturbing song on there. Childhood Nightmare is a bit disturbing. Lyrically speaking, is that based in a experience or just like you were writing and came up with it?
It's actually literally the exercise that we did. I was writing out actual nightmares. Like, here are actual nightmares. So it starts with, in all my childhood nightmares that I recall, is like the first line of the song. And the verses are literally actual nightmares I can remember. And this like, oh, here's this theme between all of them. And it is one of those that's like a really intense one that evokes and brings up like, oh, I don't know how much I want to just chat it out right now, honestly, because it's so intense. But also it's intense in a like, this is this I am safe theme that like there was a time. Part of the chorus says, in your home you weren't safe. And so, I had a great childhood, and also there were imperfections, as all childhoods probably have. And so I am safe is covering a wide range of those things of what is it like if in some childhood experiences you weren't safe. And then also even just the like present day, there's Heard It on the Radio as a song that's sort of talking about the media message and the news message of that you should feel afraid of each other and of the other, and setting up two sides, and when really we might share a lot of beliefs, but we're setting up to be afraid of each other and of the other. And so that message is meant to be also actually to say, no, you are safe, you are safer than you might think, or I don't know, that could be controversial, but how safety or lack thereof can create a lot of division. And then there's also covering I am safe in terms of there's a line, I'm safe to trust myself in overthinking, and there's an element of being safe to explore and try new things in NOBA is what we call it. Or the mantra for the timid is actually what it is on there, where I'm safe to uncover everything I thought I'd know by now, and it talks about being a beginner again and trying to feel safe and comfortable to be inexpert even at any age, and to say, oh, I'm new, but it's safe for me to try new things. So I Am Safe covers this whole array from childhood nightmares, as intense as it sounds, to like, maybe I'd like to try knitting. And I'm safe to try knitting.
No, of course you are. Did you try any new instruments on this record? I know one time we spoke, you were starting to teach yourself piano. Did you?
Yeah, I played piano on Where I'm Going, perhaps. The Condemned and Innocent has me playing piano, but I don't play piano on this one. I'm always dabbling. I played banjo on No Contradictions for Ride Away, but I don't think I'm actually playing any different instruments on this one.
Well, the credits are right in front of me. I could cheat and look, but I just thought I could see if you could remember.
Yeah, pretty
Primary artist, vocals, acoustic guitar, electric guitar.
Oh, hey, thank you for saying it. I did play electric guitar, and I have not historically played electric guitar much.
Don't think I've ever seen you play electric guitar.
Yeah, the song Blanket is on electric guitar, and perhaps I will do that one next without the electric, unfortunately, today, since this is Acoustic Alternatives.
Well, okay.
I got myself a really pretty electric guitar with birds on it, and I need the things to be pretty to further inspire me.
Okay. Will that be at the show at Carytown or in Grand Rapids? Or
yes.
Okay, you're going to have
We'll make sure we bring the pretty guitar.
Okay. Your musical taste obviously would expand over the course of time that we've known each other. Is there any new influences that we would hear on this record that you hadn't listened to prior to recording?
One really memorable one is the artist Now, N-A-O.
Okay.
And that was something that some years back, Dave and I were both listening to a bunch of songs to say, what are our common interests? What are some sounds? And so I know that Now has R&B as a part of their definition, but they also do have this sort of like synth electronic, like it's pop-esque, but I don't know, the word I think of is like darker almost, and I'm like, what is the genre? But that, when I think of some of the electronic songs on here, are sort of striving for a little bit of that sound that we were very inspired by in Now's music, and perhaps others who do similarly. Hiatus Coyote I always love, and they do a lot of this sort of jazz fusion with pop and who knows. So yeah, there's more of that, especially because Dave is a jazz cellist, that there's elements of jazz, and there's elements of this, whatever this kind of electronic thing that I can't find a word for. But
It's a new genre, maybe.
Yeah,
Maybe
I
you've just
suppose.
started something.
yeah, here's hoping.
Detroit has done it before.
Yeah, that's true.
We're kind of responsible for techno, borrowing from Kraftwerk and some other sources before
Yeah.
the Detroit techno scene grew and became, like the hub of it. But
Yeah.
Motown, obviously, that's another thing. So why can't you start a new one?
Yeah,
You're from this area.
that's right.
Go for it.
Who was it? Someone said to me yesterday, "Oh, hello, goddess of everything." And I was like,
Ooh.
"Man, I'm going to claim that title. That's
Wow.
great." So,
Next album title right
if
there.
I'm the goddess of everything, then surely I can make a new genre. I'll get right on it.
You've always been so friendly to me, and I see you friendly to everyone. Does that ever backfire? I mean, I feel like at some point you have to put your guard up a
What
little
a
bit.
great question. The way that it has backfired, most notably, has been people wanting more specifically from me than I am able to give them, and then resenting me for it. And so sometimes they'll because I want to share love with a lot, and there have been some who have felt that or assumed I'm disloyal or not going to be there for them because I have many people who I love or care about, or who have expected more from me because if somebody is loving and open, then they must be your best friend or things like that. And so that's been truly the most troublesome thing in terms of being open or friendly, is the times where folks have, and then maybe decided to shut the door on me even and say, if you can't give me all of what I want, then I want nothing.
Wow.
And that's felt for me very sad to be like, well,
Sorry.
I really do care about you. Thank you.
Hug across the table.
Thank you. But that's a really interesting question that I don't think an interviewer has ever asked, but
I always try to come up with the different ones.
yeah, that's a good one.
One of my favorite memories of you is behind the Power Center, introducing you to Michael Franti, which then you've had some other experiences with him.
And do you recall that we did acro yoga?
I do remember. I have a picture
I
or
put
two or
him
three.
on my feet.
Yeah, I have
Very
some-
proud of that
I have some
occasion.
pictures of that. And then he ended up having you on an interview that he was doing for something up north.
Yep.
Any further interactions with him since then?
Yeah. Then Jenny Jones, Kate Peterson, and I opened for him and brought them along as we did this trio, and did a really cool medley of what's going on and what's going down. The stop, hey, what's that sound?
Yeah,
we
it's,
combined a couple in a very memorable opportunity to open for him after that. So
Cool.
it was first acro yoga, then an interview, and then we got to open for him for Sonic Lunch, I believe, sometime shutting down the streets in Ann Arbor.
Yes.
And that was a really amazing opportunity to get to open for him.
He's a cool dude.
Yeah.
Seems like it would be nice of him to bring you on tour right now.
Yeah, hey.
Michael, if you're listening. We've met before, but he doesn't know me. You were talking about linguistics. I know you had sung in Portuguese at one point in the studio, sang a lullaby. Do you ever do any other songs like that in your shows where you're singing in other languages?
Because I have so enjoyed Brazilian music, I've ended up leaning heavy on, if I'm covering songs, it's often been Brazilian songs. And I think, maybe it'd be more fair-handed of me to cover other songs, but
Like a French song or something? 'cause you
yeah,
said-
especially since I spent time in France. But primarily when I've done cover songs, it's been Brazilian. Part of early in the pandemic, I reached out to a friend who I had met when in Brazil, and we did some video guitar lessons that I've been just trying to come back to recently. Maybe I should do a bit more of that, because Brazilian music and Brazilian guitar playing is just, my experience there was that the average person here who's like, I'm going to learn some guitar to impress a girl, learns E minor, G, C, D. And now you can play all the pop songs. And the equivalent of that in Brazil, of I'm going to learn a couple of the chords, is you have to be practically an expert guitarist just to play let me play some of the pop songs. It's well, great, now you need to be a jazz guitarist. So I often end up doing Brazilian songs more than others.
Maybe La Vie en Rose would be your French song, and that's kind of a jazz, sort of semi-standard for jazz too, so maybe Dave could learn that. And you could do
Yeah,
that one.
I'll take it under advisement.
Okay, it's not going to happen. At one point, we also talked about you doing a kids record because of that lullaby you did in the studio.
Was actually
session
a
with-
children's song.
Yeah, I'm like, well,
Well, it was in a children's book at
Yeah,
least.
it'd be kind of cool of you to do a kids album or a lullaby album or a family album, as it's sometimes called. Did you ever give that any more thought, or is that
I
kind of
haven't. I didn't even remember that as a consideration. But those are the kinds of things that are nice in this moment of, what if I were to write songs again? It's nice to have a creative constraint, try writing dance pop, or write 3 children's songs, something, an attainable, specific, what they say about SMART goals.
I have a hard time with those myself.
Yeah. But David Zinn, the artist, talks very often about this blank canvas as this conundrum of, if there's this just blank open canvas, it can be overwhelming. Where do I even begin? What do I even do? So his visual art is often based around on the street with chalk, whatever, of like, there's a piece of gum that could be the bear's nose or something, and I need that as well in terms of like a children's album could be this, like, now it's not a blank canvas. I have some constraints to work within. So again, you know, you thought I was teasing and taking it under advisement, but you know,
No,
I'll consider it.
Lighting a fire.
Love it.
Abigail Stauffer is my guest today in Grove Studios. One more song. What would you like to do?
This next song is Blanket, which is one of the songs from the new album that would be on that beautiful guitar with the birds, but today we'll do it acoustically.
Okay.
Lines, interruptions, there's resistance, opposition, absence creates substance, merging into one. Begin again. Rearrange the same thing to make it different. Predictable behavior with frayed edges, heavy comfort feels familiar, fading into light. Begin again. I am the negative of what I saw on the other side. Freedom and restraint, organized beauty. Come right up to the edge, but don't cross. Yet somehow you've already made it through to me. You've already made it through.
A warm blanket to end this session.
I always love to end on something like a lullaby.
That's pretty. It's available on the new record. Abigail Stauffer's new record is called I Am Safe. It's Abigail Stauffer and the Wisdom this time, adding an official band to your your moniker, so to speak. Chances to see Abigail do the thing with the new record happen later this month, the month of May of 2025. Again, always remembering that this lives on in infamy, and people might hear it a year from now and go, oh, when? When is it? No, you missed it. Sorry. And there might be more opportunities. You haven't been doing as many shows lately because, like we mentioned earlier, got to make a living, and this is not really the best way to make a living. It may be a passion, it may be something you're really damn good at, and I still believe in you, but I completely understand to have to like go to that other route to make the bills and, you know, feed yourself.
Yeah.
Stuff.
Still trying to play here and now, here and again, be in the present, I don't know, but trying to play with the frequency and the kinds of occasions that evoke more inspiration and passion for me. And so catch it when you can.
I know the digital versions are going to be easy to stream and what have you, but if people want physical versions and they can't make it to one of your shows, can they find them on the website, or is it only to be available?
They will be available on abigailstauffer.com.
Perfect.
Once it's all released.
Perfect. And I know a lot of folks have a Patreon page. Have you gone that route yet?
Nope.
No. Okay. I've got one. It doesn't generate a ton of income for me, but it does help me pay for some of the expenses that go along with doing this show and my radio shows on Radio Cobra Detroit and Sonic Coast. And it does, you know, kind of keep me doing the thing that I do to help. So if people are enjoying what I'm doing here and you want to support me, johnbomarito.com, there's a tab that says Acoustic Alternatives. Click on that and there's information on how you can help me on Patreon, and you might be able to hear some old interviews I've done. That's my thank you to you. There's like archived things that don't exist anywhere else except for there. So
Love it.
Abby, so good to see you. Thank you for lining this up and giving me a chance to talk to you about the new record and talk about your life and hear exclusive versions of songs. We'll wrap it up and say, again, thank you to Abigail, and we'll have more Acoustic Alternative sessions coming. I don't have anything specifically booked in the near future, but looking forward to July and a visit from finally May Early Wine's going to be on. So I've been working on that one for 4 years. It's going to happen.
Wonderful.
Good luck with the record, Abby.
Thank you.